This book has a sassy cover, but does the story match that cover? Hey all, welcome to Rachel Ellis Reads. Come, stay a while, let's chat. Today I'm going to be talking about a young adult contemporary novel, The Brightsiders by Jen Wilde. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I post new videos on Mondays and Fridays, but if you're not subscribed, you're not gonna know, so hit the button down below. The Brightsiders is an LGBTQIA+ novel that follows Emmy King, a famous drummer from the band The Brightsiders. The book follows Emmy as she explores her sexuality and what that means in a world full of celebrity. This book has friendships, romantic relationships, celebrity train wrecks. What more do you need in a book? So I'm going to jump straight into the things that I really liked about this book, and the first thing is the cover. Have a look at that. Have a look at that. Look at it. Look at it. Are you looking at it? Look at it. Look at it again. This is one sassy cover, and I think that it really sort of displays the inner workings of Emmy. Throughout the book, Emmy expresses herself a lot through her clothes and her makeup and her hair, and the cover really reflects that part of the story, as well as being cool. I want rainbow hair! The second thing I loved about this book is the friendships. Emmy doesn't have a great relationship with her parents at all, and her friends become her chosen family. The friendship between her and her best friend Chloe is particularly heartwarming. The third thing I loved about this book was the diversity. There is no hint of token diversity in this book. There is a rainbow of sexualities and races, and none of them are there just to make up the quota. This book is completely unapologetic for what it is and who the characters are, and I applaud it for that. But I definitely have a few issues with this book. I felt like the author fell into the trap sometimes of telling us and not showing us what was happening. This was particularly obvious in the first half of the book when Emmy decided to come out to her fans as being bisexual. There were pages upon pages of the background of her bisexuality and trying to almost prove that she was bisexual. This could have been shown in a multitude of ways. It could have been incorporated into the dialogue. It could easily be shown that she was attracted to both females and males, or that it didn't matter at all. Sexuality is a really complicated subject, and there are some things that may need clarification, but I feel like that base level that she is attracted to both males and females could have been shown and not told. This really reminds me as a writer how important it is not to assume that your audience doesn't know. Your audience is probably smarter than you think, and you don't have to stick everything right in their face. The second issue I had with this book is the lack of focus on music. Emmy is supposed to be in a world famous band, but the amount of time that she and her bandmates spent on actual music was quite minimal. They seemed to go into the studio like once every couple of months. Maybe they wrote a song on a whim. But in reality, if you're in a world famous band, that is your life 24/7. I just think that it could have been incorporated more into the core of the book as it went along. Another thing I noticed, and it's something that I'm going to have to be careful of as a writer as well, are references that aren't going to make sense to your audience in 2 years' time, in 5 years' time, in 10 years' time. In this book, this was particularly noticeable as pop culture references. A few are okay, they're a modern band, it's a contemporary book, but they were everywhere. A teenager reading this book in 10 years' time is going to have absolutely no idea what is being talked about. And the way I feel like this reflects onto my own writing is references that are going to take your audience out of your world. The pop culture references are going to take the reader out of that world in 10 years' time because they're not relevant. In a fantasy novel, it could be things such as using phrases like c'est la vie or déjà vu when you're in a world that doesn't have French. Using so many pop culture references in this book just made me think that it was going to age really badly. As a writer, it's really important to keep your audience in mind and not include anything that's going to confuse them or snap them out of that suspended disbelief. Right now, this book doesn't do that. In 5 years' time, it will. And my final and biggest issue with this book is that there were way too many things explored. The things that were explored in this book were all really big, complex, heavy issues, and they all deserve to have the time and space to be explored completely. Because there were so many of them in this book, none of them really got their time in the sun. This kind of book is really important to the LGBTQIA+ community, but the messages that were important to them got overshadowed by plot points that aren't related to that part of the story. What I take that as a writer is I need to work out what my story is about. What is the message that I'm trying to portray? In this book, it would have been great to really focus on that issue of sexuality and coming out in a world that is transphobic, biphobic, but it kind of just turned into a teen romance, which actually downplayed the severity of importance of that other story. Overall, the idea behind this book was really genuine, and I think it came from a really good place, but the execution of it just wasn't quite there. Still definitely worth a read, especially for the LGBTQIA+ community, but it's a 3 stars for me. Bear in mind that if you want to read this book, there are all sorts of kinds of abuse that are explored, and reader discretion is advised. If you've read the Brightsiders, I would love to know what you think, so leave me a comment down below. I'm also on Instagram, Twitter, and reviewing on GOODREADS, and don't forget to subscribe on the way out. But for now, don't forget to go and support some LGBTQIA+ authors, and don't forget to laugh at yourself. I'll see you later. Bye!